Hello, this is Jarle from Handmade card, Happy Heart. I'm happy that you're here. Today I have this Wintery friendship card to share with you all. I hope you like it. Let me start by showing you the items I used. I have this Heffy Doodle Dear to Me stamp set, the Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle frames, and then the Heffy Doodle Constellation Prize stencil, and then two of the Lawn Fawn border dies, and then this Lawn Fawn pearl paste. I started out by trimming my card panel to 5.5 by 4.25 inches. Then I took out my distress oxides in peacock feathers, chipped sapphire and black soot. I was going to be doing some ink blending for my background. As always, I started with my lightest shade, the peacock feathers, and then I'm going in with my medium shade, the chipped sapphire. Then, since this doesn't give very smooth results, I always go back in with that lighter shade again. So when I'm done with the chipped sapphire, I'm taking my peacock feathers again and just blending on top of that again. Then after that I'm going back in with the chipped sapphire just until I'm happy with the blending. Then for my final color, the black soot, I'm just doing the same thing here. So I have my black soot, then I'm going back in with the chipped sapphire, as you can see here. And then again with the peacock feathers. And I just repeat the process of going back and forth until I'm happy with the results. I think this is my favorite night sky combination. Then I took out my Make Art station since I was going to be using the Lawn Fawn stencil paste. I placed my background panel onto that station with some temporary adhesive, and then I put my stencil on top with the included magnets. Then I just took some pearl paste directly out of the jar, and I'm just smearing this all over my stencil. As you can see, I'm not being too precise about it. It's just like smearing butter onto a sandwich. And when it's done, or when I think I'm done, I just go over it, over the whole stencil again, and I'm just scooping this back into the jar. Now for the big reveal, I love how this sky came together. I love the combination of the colors and then that pearl stencil paste. I really love how this background turned out. Off camera, I already stamped my images with MFT black ink, which is a Copic friendly ink, and my Misty. Now, as you can see, I already colored a bunch of images off camera as well. So I'm just showing you the last bits of coloring here. You can see the colors that I used on the left upper corner of your screen. I will leave you now with a little bit of music, and I hope you enjoy the coloring process. Now that all my coloring is done, we can proceed with the cards. I die cut the largest of the stitched rectangle frames using my Gemini Junior. So now I just want to see the placement of my borders and my stamps. So I took out a scrap piece of paper, of cardstock, and I'm just placing the first border there. I die cut this with my die cutting machine, and then I'm placing the rest of the cardstock just so I can see how or where I want my second border to be. So I kind of want it to be overlapping just a little bit so that I have two snowy borders. Now I didn't want them to be stark white, so I'm just taking a tiny blending brush and then I'm going in with the peacock feathers that I used earlier for my background. So I'm just doing a little bit of ink blending just on the top of that border. I think this will blend in nicely with the rest of the background. Then I placed my border, so I adhered my borders onto the background frame. I used some regular tape runner for that, and you can see here that I'm kind of tucking in that second border so that I have a nice and smooth transition from one to the other. So now it's time to place all of my images onto my panel. So I think this is the most fun part of the whole process. So I think I used almost exclusively liquid glue to do all of this. Just my two deer, I put these up with tiny foam squares. But all the rest, the trunks, the leaves, the mushrooms and the trees, I just glued these down with some liquid glue. Then I also wanted my frame to be popped up a little bit, so I took some tiny foam adhesive strips to pop this frame up. Now, before I wanted to adhere my frame, I'm going to stamp my sentiments, so I prepped my black cardstock with my anti-static powder, and then I stamped my sentiment with Versamark ink. Then I sprinkled on some white heat embossing powder, and then off camera I heat set it with my heat gun. I also trimmed this sentiment down and then adhered it again with my tape runner. As you can see here, I had to adhere my sentiment first before putting down my frame on top. Then I'm just gluing down all those final bits and pieces, the last images of my card panel, until I was happy with my scene. Then I trimmed down those two trees on the upper part of the card, just using my scissors. Off camera I have folded my card base, and now I'm just putting tape all over my scene and then placing this on my card base. Now it just needed a little bit of glitter, so I'm using my glitter pen there just to add some subtle shimmer to those mushrooms. This finishes off the card for today. I really like how it turned out. I especially love those pops of red color into that wintry scene. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!